Hi there, I am Barry Topping. I'm the composer on Sentry, a game by Fireblade Software. And Sean, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Sean Noonan, lead designer on Sentry.
We're here today as part of Save and Sound. Thanks for having us, Save and Sound.
Yeah,
We just
thanks.
want to talk a bit about the music of Sentry, just kind of give you an introduction to what it is and what it's like. So, probably start off with explaining what Sentry is, first of all. Sean, if
Yeah,
you'd like to do that.
Sentry is a sci-fi action defense first-person shooter where you use an arsenal of weapons, traps, and turrets to defend your ship against an overwhelming enemy alien threat.
Cool. That's very concise. I like
Yes.
that. We put out our announced trailer recently, so we thought that'd be a good place to start with showing you some music because it kind of has it's like a nice wee snapshot of one of our game environments and kind of matches the flow of the game as well a wee bit. So we got a cut of the trailer here that has no sound design on it. If you'd like to see that, please stick around to the end. We will play the all singing, all dancing version of the trailer at the end. But for now, here is the trailer with just some music over it. Enjoy. Cool. So that's our announced trailer. Hope you enjoyed that. When we started working on the trailer, we knew what we wanted it to look like. That trailer seems like it's scripted, but it's not. It's actually captured by one of the pro gamers we have on staff here at Fireblade Software. So when it came to actually starting, it was quite a rough but nailed down outline, I would say, that I wrote music to. And if you're a composer, you'll know that music first is kind of like a scary prospect. But I think because we knew what we wanted and the captures were aimed at a perfect take, it ended up, I only had to cut out like 10 seconds, 8 bars, something like that, out of the final version compared to what I'd, done for the guide takes. Um, you'll see, we'll talk about it a bit earlier about the game flow, but you'll see that the trailer has a flow in the way it moves between sections, and that is kind of mimics what's happening in the game. So sonically, Sentry at large it's a sci-fi game, right? So it's influenced by sci-fi stuff, video games, films, TV shows,
Yeah.
even a lot of bands. So I use obviously a lot of synth sounds. I have a big wall of synths right here that I have to get some use out of. So that's where Sentry comes in, right? So it's all like very kind of like analog sci-fi synth. We have like kind of big guitars. It's not really metal as such, but I feel like there's guitars driving some of the music.
Yeah.
Electric bass too, and we have this thing which I really like, which is like drum kit against orchestral, like bigger orchestral percussion, which is the thing they do in the most recent Deus Ex games, which I love, and also Battlestar Galactica, which I also love. So that's like a big kind of sci-fi thing for me, is that drum kit versus orchestral percussion. The percussion's also pretty layered. There's some like really kind of dirty, because the ship type that the trailer is based on is the roughneck ship type, which is very industrial. So the idea that it should have some industrial music elements. So there's also like a lot of quite distorted drum kit sounds, kind of Nine Inch Nails style stuff, and there's a lot of like really crunchy PS1 style percussion. I mean, there's quite a lot of stuff in there. There's like a lot of strings as well, just to kind of add like a slight bit of orchestral drama to it. I mean, there's no like horns or anything, so it's like really quite low on the orchestral stuff. Really,
you didn't go like super tropey or anything with that stuff.
No, and there's no like no John Williams stuff.
Yeah.
There's still time though. So yeah, that kind of that palette is what underpins the rest of the Roughneck style. So it's influenced by games like I said, Deus Ex, stuff like Final Fantasy VII, Mass Effect, big influence, stuff like Xenoblade Chronicles X, and like when I kind of try to hit my own like we had reference points for the game, and I wanted to take those and then combine them with my own mental reference points, because I really love to take what influences me about music that I enjoy and apply it in my own way. And it's just about smashing what's in here up with what was out there together into something that I feel like has my scent on it. You know, something that is new based on the pre-existing stuff. So yeah, and like I was saying, the trailer kind of follows the dynamic flow of the game. Sean, I don't know if you want to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so we've got like a series of different mission types, and the one that we wanted to outline in the trailer was a kind of archetypal defense mission. So at this point where the trailer sort of takes place, the ship has been overrun, and they're heading the aliens are basically heading towards the core of your ship. So you've got to basically defend it, and that comes in a series of waves. So you've got or should I say phases? You've got the first phase where you deploy into the area where the ship's being attacked. You find where the entry points are, defend them however, like to whatever skill you can, and then the enemies will, breach those defense points, and then you've got to basically fight them in, run and gun, hip shooting combat kind of thing. And just defend the core at all costs.
Because we have this kind of up and down dynamic flow within gameplay, it's something that is represented by because we have a dynamic music system. And normally, dynamic music systems in maybe the last 10 years have been in games that tend to have more kind of cinematic style soundtracks that are less maybe genre driven. I don't want to say they're more background, but they're less of a feature, whereas I'm someone that wants to write music to be a feature. Like, my personal thing is that video game music is at its best when it is being video game music, when it's doing something that only video game music can do. So there are a lot of sounds in Sentry that are gamey. I want people to play it and go, this is a video game. Because, I want to signpost that, right?
Yeah.
But that can be at odds sometimes with a dynamic music system. So in gameplay, we have you have a setup phase, a combat phase, and then a final wave. I wanted these all to be able to move dynamically back and forth, but also be their own separate pieces. So it's not really a sideways dynamism in terms of we're not stripping some stems out to go to like a lower intensity version. The lower intensity version is kind of its own thing that moves in a different way and that will have the same themes, the same sounds, but just be slightly different. But there will also be points in the game, like we said, maybe in menu flow, where we will have sideways dynamism, where it's the exact same piece of music, but it's moving to a different sound set, that sort of thing. So, with a dynamic music system, the sky is really the limit, right? You can do whatever you want as long as it fits, as long as it's not clashing too much. And yet, it's a challenge to squeeze gamey music into a system like that. But so far, I think it's going pretty good.
Yeah, I think so far everything's like basically elevating and complementing the visuals, which is great. That's the goal in my eyes. Because obviously it's setting pace, but I think any form of soundtrack can. I think the way that we've gone about it, I think, is specifically elevating what we're doing. It's great. I love hearing it.
Cool. Well, I mean, that's really the aim, right? That's kind of it's always what I want to aim for when I'm working on a game, and
Yeah,
to be able to have the freedom to work like that is also pretty good too, because it's early enough in the process that we've been able to throw some stuff at it and be like, this works, this doesn't work. And when it is early in the process and you know you got a lot of time, you don't have to be as precious about your work. You know, obviously you're always going to fight for certain stuff, but if something doesn't
yeah,
work, it's fine. You can, it's small bits of music. You can go try something else. So yeah, it's so far it's the stuff we've written for the Roughneck type is all. So say there are multiple game modes within Roughneck, right?
yeah. A
So
series of different mission types. Yeah,
yeah, and they all have different music that are distinctly different, but still kind of married in style. Like one of them is like this, like really kind of like driving synth, lots of guitars, and then one of the other ones I was working on is like kind of acid blade, blade nightclub stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much room to bring stuff into the sci-fi genre, especially if it's a video game. And then we're having the dynamic music system too. We're I'm almost forced to write more dynamic music. So yeah,
yeah,
it's just a much bigger box to tick, but it means you have more freedom almost to write more types of music. So from beyond where this roughneck ship type is, there's going to be other biomes. This is about how we expand the soundtrack out from this sort of synthy industrial stuff. So do you want to talk a bit about the other kind of ship types?
yeah. So we've got the Roughneck, which is our industrial kind of worker, like freighter ship. So there'll be different variants of that, but that'll be that sort of biome basically. So you can imagine just very like metallic hazard stripes, that kind of visual thing. So there's a certain musical type, like you said, the industrial genre is with
There's
like sort of,
there's something so industrial about yellow and black, right? As a
yeah.
thing. I don't know
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
remember that. Do you remember that game Bedlam?
I do. That cover is
Yeah,
iconic.
yeah. When I see that makes me.
Yeah, yeah.
I can hear like Skinny Puppy or something in my head, right? It's just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all kind of the sorts of tropes I think we should be jumping into, right? Like, rather than sort of more video game sci-fi than Hollywood sci-fi, right?
yeah,
Like I think that's a good route for us to go. So with our next ship, well, I don't know if it's our next ship. We've got a couple that we've got in mind, but the next one we're sort of concepting out is a cruiser. So if you think about the Roughneck class as being industrial freight, then the cruiser is going to be more commercial, um, pleasure cruiser sort of thing. So
yeah. It's like
that's
Flossed in Paradise, right? That kind
well,
of.
it's going to be like completely different, completely. Um, so yeah, that's going to be a totally different genre.
Yeah, that I mean, it's even the visual reference. If you're on an industrial spaceship and there are, like conveyor belts and crates and stuff, it's like, oh, this is what the music sounds like. But if you're on an intergalactic cruise ship and there's like a buffet and stuff, it's like you have to
Yeah,
approach that slightly differently. So yeah, so that's one. You want to talk about the other one? Sorry.
yeah, yeah. So the other one that's quite exciting because it was something that came up very early in development when we were basically coming up with our first few biome types and well, should I say ship types, is the Necropolis Express. So the Necropolis is going to be pretty metal, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it has to be.
It's called the Necropolis. That's
Yeah, so that's going to be like a gothic funeral ship. So we want to kind of dig into some. One of my references has been the sort of cancelled Alien 3 screenplay, the initial screenplay with the wooden monastery for the monks and stuff.
yes.
So I want to kind of dig into some of that. I think that'll be quite fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to writing wooden spaceship music. I have to say, it'll be pretty good. But yeah, so we've thrown some demos at that. I'm not going to spoil what it's going to end up being, but you can push it in pretty far away from the roughneck stuff, whilst
Yeah.
also still having it all married under the same sci-fi video game umbrella. I feel like our stuff for our menu flows is going to be quite. I mean, it's all quite ambient so far. I mean, tuneful. Like it's always tunes, but it's quite ambient. So that, if you imagine that kind of sci-fi ambient stuff as the top level, and then you have the 3 modes, and we talked about more thematic writing in terms of stuff like alien factions and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can, again, that can be applied to the dynamic music system, where you have the same piece of music but it's different every time you're fighting a different faction, for example. In terms of sounds, especially because when you go from this is music for a human on a ship fighting aliens to making it something that's more about aliens, I think again you can push it in some pretty interesting directions there. So yeah, I keep saying sky's the limit, but I feel like it is. It's we have quite a rich palette here to be working with. So yeah, it's going to be good.
You got a lot of freedom, so
yes. Cool. Well, I mean, I feel like that really kind of introduces what Sentry is and what the soundtrack is, and what it's going to be like. Again, if we'll stick the full trailer on at the end, and you can have a listen to it with sound design to get a feel of the full audiovisual environment. But yeah, I mean, that's just a wee taster to hopefully get people excited. Cool. If you want to grab us in the meantime for anything, you can get us on Twitter. I am on Twitter at NoStoppingEpoch.
I'm at Sean Noonan, all one word.
And Fireblade Software is on there. Fireblade Software has a website. You can check us out on Steam. Please wishlist us on Steam if you've enjoyed this video. We would be very grateful. And yeah, big thanks to Save and Sound for having us. We hope this has been interesting. And yeah, please look forward to Sentry. It's going to be really good. Enjoy the full trailer.
Sentry Online. Objective update. Objective update. Sentry expired. Sentry online. Objective update.